Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. Fantasy Ranch puts you in charge of a magnificent guest ranch and offers 3 levels of play to make it easier to learn how to play the game. Now, this video will be for levels 2 and 3, which explains the more advanced ways to play the game. If you haven't yet played the game at all, we recommend that you start with level 1, and you can find the link to that video just below me in the description of this video. Today we'll be doing a rule school where I'll teach you how to set up and play the game so that you don't have to read the rulebook yourself. I've also placed timestamps below me in the description of this video just in case you want to jump to a specific section of the level 2 and or 3 rules. Well, without further ado, let's get started. To set up, you're going to place the Showgrounds board in the middle of the table where everyone can reach it. Then off the side of the board, you're going to group together all the like-kind horses and the different good tokens of values 1, 2, and 3. We have food and tack. Also off to the side, you're going to find all the location tokens that look like this, and you'll stack them in like kinds. Now this is a new step for the level 2 setup. You're going to find the Twist of Fate cards. In this deck, you're going to find all of the cards that have a level 3 icon on the bottom left, and you're going to take these out of the game and remove them. You do not need them for level 2. The rest of these cards you're going to shuffle into this Twist of Fate deck, and you're going to just place it next to the show board. Next, you're going to find the Horses deck. You're going to shuffle this deck and then place it right on the horse cards section of the board. Now new for level 2, instead of just getting 4 horse cards dealt to you, you're going to draft them. So you're going to get 4 horse cards. You are going to look at these and secretly select one to place face up in front of you, and then the rest of the cards you're going to pass to the player to your left, clockwise, which means you're going to get 3 more cards from the player to your right. You're then going to secretly look at these, you're going to select a card, then you're going to take the 2 cards that are left and then pass it clockwise again, which means you'll get 2 cards from the player to your right. You'll select one, you'll place it face up in front of you, and you'll pass that last card to the player to your left, which means you'll get the last card from the player to your right. Now, once you have all these horse cards in front of you, you'll then place the horse tokens on top of those cards. And so it will look just like this. Once all players have those 4 cards, then you're going to deal the top 8 cards from this horse deck face up on the different spots here. This is known as the sales barn. Next, you'll take the deck of shows cards like this and you'll place it off to the side. You're only going to be using these as placeholders on the board, but we'll show you more about that later. Then each player is going to select a guest ranch mat and place it in front of them. They don't play any differently, but they're all different guest ranches from different parts around the country. For example, I live in Arizona, so I picked the White Stallion Ranch in Tucson, Arizona. It's going to act as a player aid, and if you like, on the other side it has some information about this specific ranch. Then, on your guest ranch mat, you'll take 4 tack and 4 food from the supply, as well as 3 of the same colored dice, and place them right there. Next, you're going to look through the different ranch tiles, and you're going to select one to place next to your ranch mat. Now notice on your ranch tile, there are different locations. Now on these locations, you're going to place the location tiles that you set aside during the setup earlier. As you can see, I've placed those location tokens on the corresponding spot on the tile. Keep in mind you never have to place anything on home because you get that one for free. Then you get to select one of these locations, take it off your ranch tile, put it below. You now own this location for free. You get to do this at the start of the game. Then you'll take any horses that you may have on the cards and place them there. Sometimes you might actually have more than one that you can place there. You can always place up to an amount of horses shown in the number just below that location. Then you'll take the rest of these horses and place it in the home spot on your tile. So for example, at the start of the game, my tile might look like this. The player who most recently touched a horse takes the first turn and they'll take this first player marker. Now playing level 2 plays the same way as level 1, except there's a new step in your turn and a new free action you can use to take. Now at the beginning of your turn, before you take your actions, you'll draw one of these Twist of Fate cards from the deck and place it up in front of you. For example, here is a face-up Twist of Fate card. And it says, if you have room on your home space, here the home can hold up to 3 horses, let's say we had room for 1. You could then, for your reward, draw the next horse card and add it to your stable for free. Now, this is an additional free action. It's a new thing that you can do now playing level 2. Remember, you have unlimited free actions of the same ones from level 1, moving horse figures, selling horses, and trading resources. But now, if you complete one of these cards, you can do it for free. And remember, since it's a free action, you can do it in any order, before or after your main action or any of your other free actions. Also keep in mind that you don't have to do it. You can save it to complete it at a time that's more beneficial to you. Now remember, you're drawing one of these at the beginning of each of your turns, and you can have multiples of these, and you can be working on different ones at different times. Now some of them actually give you a reward of trophies. For example, if you have horses with all of these show skills, you'd get this reward. And how you get that reward and how you show it is essentially you take this and you'll place it sort of just right under your rance mat like this, so that you can see that these are going to be worth trophies that you'll score at the end of the game, in addition to all your other trophies. Now, these go here when they're completed. If they're not trophies, when you complete this, let's say you drew the next horse card and added your stable for free, you take this Twist of Fate card that you completed, and you place it face down at the bottom of the Twist of Fate deck. Now with these cards, if you ever buy a horse from another player, the amount of cost here, 3 food, would get paid to this player. You then can take the horse from any location that they have, you get to choose, and you'll take both the card, place it next to your mat, and place this onto a range location in this case that you already own, or into your home if you have room. But keep in mind, you can't buy a horse from another player if you can't put it into a location you own or into your home. And you can never buy, trade, or take a world-class horse from any player. Now, if a Twist of Fate card has you trade a horse for one in the sales barn, you would remove the horse card and the horse token from your board, and you would take the horse card and gather the correct horse token that you're taking, and obviously putting it in only an open location that you own or an open spot in your home. Now the game will end at the end of the 5th round, and there are 5 ways to get trophies, and they're shown in the bottom right of your ranch mat. The first is buddies. You're no longer going to get 1 trophy per horse like you did in level 1. You're going to look for the bottom left of each of the horse. There's a buddies symbol. If you have 2 buddy symbols that match, you're going to get 1 trophy. If you have 3 that match, you'll get 2 trophies. So these 3 that match with the moon is going to be 2, and these 2 that match are going to be 1, so that's a total of 3 trophies for these. Also, any world show skilled horse is going to get 1 trophy as shown here. So we have 2 plus 1 is 3 plus 1 more is 4. This one does not get us any trophies. And you'll also get 1 trophy for each of the locations that you've been able to purchase from your tile. And if you've purchased all the locations on your tile, you'll get the amount of trophies shown in your home, in this case 2. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You'll also get any trophies from completed Twist of Fate cards that you've placed on your mat like this, so this would be 2 more. And whoever has the most trophies is the winner. If it's tied, the one with the most horses in total wins. And if it's still tied, then the one with the most total goods wins. And so that's, food and or attack. And if it's still tied, they share the victory. Now for level 3, all of the rules from level 2 are still in effect, except for the changes that I'm going to talk about here. So you will have wanted to play level 2 before you play this level. To set up, you're going to place the Showgrounds board in the middle of the table where everyone can reach it. Then off the side of the board, you're going to group together all the like-kind horses and the different good tokens of values 1, 2, and 3. We have food and tack. Also off to the side, you're going to find all the location tokens that look like this, and you'll stack them in like kinds. Next, you're going to find the horses deck. You're going to shuffle this deck and then place it right on the horse cards section of the board. You're then going to find the deck of cards that says shows. You're going to shuffle them, and you're going to put 1 face up on all these spots for rounds 1, 2, 3, and 4. So there's going to be a total of 8 cards. They're going to go face up, covering what's on the board. Make sure you don't place any over the printed spot of the finals, and any cards that were left over can be placed back in the box. But notice this is a variable setup now, and there's different types of shows that will happen possibly multiple times, and some that might not happen at all. Now to get your 4 starting horses, you'll be drafting them, somewhat similar to level 2, but it is different. Every player is going to get 6 horse cards face down in front of them. Now each of these players is going to take these 6 cards, they're going to secretly look at them, and they're going to choose one card that they're going to keep, and they're going to place that card right in front of them face down. They are then going to take the rest of the cards that they did not select, and they're going to pass on a player to the left. This is going to come around, and they're going to have 5 cards to choose from. They're going to select one secretly, and they're going to place it face down in front of them, and they'll pass the 4 cards to the next player to the left, which means 4 cards come to them. They're going to look at them. They're going to secretly select one. Remember, they're always placing these face down. There's going to be 3 cards left. Those 3 cards are going to come around, and they're going to secretly look at these and pick one to put face down. So now they're going to have 4 face down horse cards. They're going to have 2 left over. Once all players have those 4 cards, then you're going to deal the top 8 cards from this horse deck face up on the different spots here. This is known as the sales barn. Then each player is going to select a guest ranch mat and place it in front of them. They don't play any differently, but they're all different guest ranches from different parts around the country. For example, I live in Arizona, so I picked the White Stallion Ranch in Tucson, Arizona. It's going to act as a player aid, and if you like, on the other side it has some information about this specific ranch. Then, on your guest ranch mat, you'll take 4 tack and 4 food from the supply, as well as 3 of the same colored dice, and place them right there. Each player is also going to get these tokens in the color that match the dice that they took. And on one side it says own, on the other side when you flip them over it says board, and then there's some -1 cost ones as well. Next, you'll lay out the 6 employee tokens. Now normally you'll stand them up like this on the table, but for the camera to make it easier to see, I put it like this. On the back side of all of these gives an ability that each of these employees have. With the first player then going clockwise, everyone takes one of these and places it in front of them. Any employee tokens not taken by the players should go right near the showgrounds board. Everyone's leftover horse cards go face down at the bottom of the horse deck. And then each player is going to flip face up all the 4 horses that they've selected and put the corresponding horse token on each of those cards. Next, you're going to assemble the Twist of Fate deck, which essentially is going to be every card in that deck, making sure to include the level 3 Twist of Fate cards, which are on the bottom left-hand side of each of the cards. Make sure you shuffle this deck well. Just to the right of that showgrounds board, towards the top, you're going to place the Twist of Fate deck after you've shuffled it. And you're going to flip face up 4 cards in a column just like that. Now we're going to set up the ranch community. In level 3, you won't have your own ranch by itself. You're going to build this community. Now if you're playing with 2 or 3 players, you're going to randomly select 4 of the ranch tiles and randomly select the side and put them together like this in a square. If you're playing with 4 players, you would use the other 2 ranch tiles as well for a total of 6, and you would place them out here so there would be a rectangle with a row of 3 and a row of 3. And as you see here, you'll want to put the location tiles in the corresponding spots on the selected tiles. Now starting with the last player, which is the player sitting just to the right of the first player, they're going to select one of these home spots and they're going to place their own token on it, just like this, and they're going to place 3 of their horses in their home because that's the max you can hold there. And just like the previous levels, you'll get one of these locations for free. You'll pull that off, you'll put it in front of yourself, and you will place your 4th horse that you had to start the game in that location. And then going counterclockwise, each player is also going to do the same thing. Like for this example, we have 3 players, and the last player to always put it there is going to be the first player of the game. The player who most recently touched a horse takes the first turn, and they'll take this first player marker. In level 3, you still play 5 rounds just like normal, and your 3 main actions that you can take are still the same. You're still only taking one of those, but you have more options for your free actions. One of them is to complete a Twist of Fate card. On your turn, if you can fulfill a condition on any of the 4 face-up Twist of Fate cards, you can complete them and take the card. If it's one that has a reward as trophies, you'd place it on your mat as shown in the level 2 rules. But if instead you fulfill one that does not have trophies on it, you'll get the reward immediately, and then that Twist of Fate card will go to the bottom of the deck face down. Anytime one of these cards is fulfilled, a new one will come and replace it immediately. And keep in mind, you can only take one Twist of Fate card per turn. Another free action you can take is to use the ability on your employee. Now, if you use your own, it's free. However, you can use the ability of an opponent's employee, and you can do that by spending any 2 goods. So 2 of the same or 2 different ones, you give it to that player, and you can use their employee's ability. You can never use the abilities of any of the employees that are out by the show board, meaning they're not belonging to any player at this time. And you can only use 1 employee per turn. Now, the abilities are pretty self-explanatory in the back of all these, but if you need some more explanations, you can turn to page 19 in the rulebook. Now, buying a location is different in level 3. You can only buy a location if it's next to a location that you already own, or a location that you already board. We'll talk about that boarding later. So everything on your own board is considered yours. So if you own this location, you purchase it, you can move this horse here like normal because it belongs in the paddock, and you don't need to place your own token because this is your home. For instance, the red player. So now that they move this horse here, let's just say that they had another horse from their original horse cards that they can move here because this can hold 3. Now, in a subsequent turn, let's say they wanted to purchase a specific location on a different ranch tile. They can do so if it's adjacent to one that they already own and or board. We'll talk about that later. But since they own this one, they could go here adjacently. Now, you can look at the edges of the tiles and you can see which different parts of the tiles are adjacent. This is a paddock here, gray, and this is a paddock, so they could move into here. Notice that this paddock is actually adjacent to both this paddock and this range. So from here, you could move here or here. So let's say they wanted to go ahead and pay that 3 tact to be able to go ahead and own this. So they would go like that because it's adjacent to one they already own. And then of course they can move their horse from their home right into there like that. So let's look a little further in the game. This blue player, this is their home. So they own this horse here in the runout and this one here in the range. They don't need tokens because this is its home, but we own this one here that we moved to. Let's say we wanted to board this horse that belongs in a range to here. We could do that because it's adjacent to a horse that we already own, even though it's on this player's home. So what we could do is we could move this here, but we would need to place a token there. So now this player, the red player, is boarding their horse in this player's location. Now, if a boarding player actually has more horses than the owning player, then this flips over and this is owned, and this player is now boarding. And remember that boarding is actually important because you can always purchase a location tile from anywhere that you own or board, so it helps you spread out a little bit more. But also keep in mind when boarding and such, you can never go over the max amount of horses in that specific location. The shows themselves work the same way as the other levels, but of course now it's set up differently. And when you finish a show, you'll just simply flip the card. Now the player that gets first place in any of the second shows of that round, once this gets flipped over, they also will get the first player token given to them. Now you also may notice that the first place does not get a horse like in the previous levels. It'll get some goods, but it will also get an upgrade token. And those upgrade tokens can be placed on any location. So for this blue player, this is -1. Now notice that this blue player owns this home and they have a horse here and it is adjacent to this. So they can actually move here. They could try to get this location and purchase it for 2 of the tack, but because they have this upgrade, it's only gonna cost them 1. And if they had this here, it actually would be free. Once it's paid, these go back to the supply. And keep in mind, you can only get a location and purchase it if you have a horse that you can place there. And claiming that free location due to the upgrades is the last of the possible free actions you can take anytime on your turn. Lastly, about the shows, you win horses during the finals. And when you win those horses, you can place them in any spot that you actually own. Or if you decide, you could actually follow the normal boarding rules and actually board them in other players' locations. But let's say you are already boarding this horse in this blue player's location and you won a horse in the finals, you could actually add this to here, and now, because you're boarding more than the owner, you actually flip this to own, and this player would now be boarding, so you can flip those in the finals. Now that we've covered all the new actions, let's talk about one more step in your turn. At the end of your turn, it's mandatory. You must turn in the employee that you had for that turn and take one of the ones that's not owned by any other player, meaning they're one of the ones that's by the showgrounds board. You pick which one you want and it's replaced with the one that you had, and now you have this employee for your next turn. Now the game will end at the end of the 5th round, and there are 5 ways to get trophies, and they're shown in the bottom right of your ranch mat. The first is buddies. You're no longer going to get 1 trophy per horse like you did in level 1. You're going to look for the bottom left of each of the horse. There's a buddies symbol. If you have 2 buddy symbols that match, you're going to get 1 trophy. If you have 3 that match, you'll get 2 trophies. So these 3 that match with the moon is going to be 2, and these 2 that match are going to be 1, so that's a total of 3 trophies for these. Also, any world show skilled horse is going to get 1 trophy as shown here. So we have 2 plus 1 is 3, plus 1 more is 4. This one does not get us any trophies. You'll also get any trophies from completed Twist of Fate cards that you've placed on your mat like this, so this should be 2 more. Each player is going to get 1 trophy for each location that they own. Not that they purchase, but what they own, because sometimes you could purchase a location and somebody might end up owning that instead. So for example, we own this one, 1, 2, 3, and we own these ones, 4, 5, 6. So you'd get 6 trophies for that. Plus, if you own all the locations on your own, you'll get the points in this trophy. So that's 1 more trophy for that player. And if you own 1 or more locations on a different tile, you also get a trophy. So we'd get 1 additional more trophy this player would for having at least 1 on this tile. And if you went to all the others, you'd get 1 point for each of those as well. And whoever has the most trophies is the winner. If it's tied, the one with the most horses in total wins. And if it's still tied, then the one with the most total goods wins. And so that's, food and or attack. And if it's still tied, they share the victory. Well, I hope this helped you dive right into Fantasy Ranch levels 2 and 3 and get to the fun quicker than you normally would if you had to read the rulebook yourself. Now, if you have further questions about the rules, I've placed the link below me in the description of this video. That's the best place to ask them, since I'll be notified, but so will the publisher. This has been the Game Boy Geek, breaking down barriers and growing relationships through board games by helping you find the next one you'll love.